Okay, folks, we do have bubbles, as promised. The machine is working. This is great. What a great turnout. And in case you don't know, I'm Jack Dalrymple. I'm the governor of North Dakota. I guess this goes to show that if you do something fun once in a while, like people will actually show up and participate. It doesn't have to always be serious, and that's a good thing. I'm going to just do some introductions and make a couple of comments, and then read the proclamation. And then I think we'll hear a few interesting stories about the history of Mr. Bubble. I'm not going to let that distract me over here. We have with us today, of course, our former governor and former president of the Gold Seal Company, Ed Schaefer, who doesn't need an introduction. Nancy Schaefer, the former First Lady, is here. Nancy, you want to take a little bow? We have the world famous Shyla Schaefer here with us today. Show your t-shirt. We also have with us Frank Klisenich, President and CEO of the Village Company, the company that now markets Mr. Bubble. Also have Randy Hudson-Buehler, that most people know, President of the Theodore Roosevelt Medora Foundation. Randy, thank you for being here today. And I'd also like to ask any former Gold Seal employees who might happen to be here today to please stand up. Well, no wonder the company was successful. Now I understand. What a loyal group. That's great. Okay, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the Mr. Bubble brand. The iconic product with North Dakota ties celebrates 50 years. It has a very proud heritage, and because of that, I have declared August 30th, 2011, Mr. Bubble Day in North Dakota. This is so easy. We should do this more often. In 1961, Harold Schaefer and the Gold Seal Company in Bismarck found a way to make Bubble Bath an affordable luxury and move the merchandising from department stores to grocery stores. Mr. Bubble was born and quickly became the #1 selling bubble bath in the world and a household name. And to this day, Mr. Bubble continues to be the best-selling brand of bubble bath in the United States. We all remember the early days of television advertising and how it coincided with the launch of this amazing product. We remember the original advertising slogan from early on, quote, "So clean your mother won't know you." I love that. But the one they have today, the current slogan, is also very good, quote, "Makes getting clean almost as much fun as getting dirty." We could use that in other contexts. It's fun to be part of this, and it is the history of consumer product advertising. It's the history of North Dakota. And also, the special connection for us is that a lot of the proceeds from Mr. Bubble's sales were ultimately invested in Medora, North Dakota, which led to the area becoming the state's top recreation destination. The Village Company purchased the brand in 2008 and introduce new products to add to the legacy. And I'll let Frank tell about how they attempted to create the world's largest bubble bath this summer. I didn't hear yet how that turned out. Harold Schaefer, as you all know, was a very successful entrepreneur and did many great things for our state. Mr. Bubble's longevity and success is a testament to that vision and insight that he had into the world of consumer products. Harold was awarded the Theodore Roosevelt Rough Rider Award in 1975, a long time ago, for his legendary contributions to our great state. He was the founder of North Dakota's largest home-owned business and was the youngest recipient ever of the Horatio Alger Award, and is responsible, as you know, for the development and restoration of Medora. Remarkable man, successful entrepreneur, set a standard for many people to follow. I think that recognizing the Gold Seal employees here today is also a big part of this. Products such as Snowy Bleach, Glass Wax, and of course Mr. Bubble really are the result of a lot of people working for a lot of years to build up a great consumer products company. Thanks also to Ed, Nancy, and Shyla for all the things that you have done for North Dakota, keeping Harold's legacy ongoing and really making it a continuous contribution to North Dakota over a very long period of time. And Randy, just want to mention that what you have done in Medora, working with the Theodore Roosevelt Medora Foundation, has taken that project to new levels. And with the advent of the golf course and the new hotel, we are getting more and more comments about how Medora is getting to be a greater and greater attraction. And Frank, thanks to you for keeping the brand going. As you can tell, it's not just any old bubble bath to us. It actually means something to our state. So with that, I am going to read the proclamation. August 30th, 2011, whereas in 1961, Harold Schaefer and the Gold Seal Company in Bismarck found a way to make bubble bath an affordable luxury and move the merchandising from department stores to grocery stores. And whereas the company launched Mr. Bubble, a boxed powder bubble bath that quickly became the #1 selling bubble bath in the world and a household name. And whereas Harold Schaefer invested the profits from Mr. Bubble sales into the restoration and development of the community of Medora, which led to the area becoming the state's top recreation destination. And whereas Minnesota-based The Village Company purchased the brand in 2008 and introduced new products to continue the iconic legacy of Mr. Bubble. And whereas this year Mr. Bubble celebrates 50 years of fun in the tub and continues to be the best-selling brand of bubble bath in the United States. And whereas North Dakota is proud to call Mr. Bubble one of its own, and today celebrates the entrepreneurial spirit of Harold Schaefer and the Gold Seal Company and the product's rich North Dakota heritage. Now, therefore, as Governor of the state of North Dakota, I do hereby proclaim August 30th, 2011, Mr. Bubble Day in the state of North Dakota. Signed, Jack Dalrymple, Governor. Kind of already introduced Frank, but our next speaker will be Frank Klicinich, President and CEO of The Village Company.
Governor Dalrymple, I will confess, look at this moves. I will confess that I am overwhelmed with this reception. I was not expecting this. I'm delighted to see the employees of the Gold Seal Company attending this event is heartwarming, because Mr. Bubble is part of the Village Company family, but he was born in North Dakota. and he has a lot of relatives here, and I'm glad to meet most of them here. The Village Company wanted to expand and diversify the product offering. We were primarily known as a bubble bath company. We've got adult products, we've got kids products. One of our kids' lines is Sesame Street. We're the licensee for Sesame Street. And we learned about 3.5 years ago, the company that owned Mr. Bubble was having difficulty. And in looking at this opportunity, we quickly realized not only was Mr. Bubble the biggest selling kids bubble bath, it was the biggest selling bubble bath, period. It had a share market that far exceeded any other competitor in the United States. So we looked at the opportunity, and the misfortune for one organization was the fortune for the Village Company. I successfully bid, and we got the rights to Mr. Bubble, and have owned this brand for 3 years. And over that time, we've done things to correct some of the mistakes that have been made, not by the originators, but by the companies that subsequently own the brand. We did some fixes. We modified the logo. I'm seeing a lot of old logos here today that are fabulous. They're part of the heritage of Mr. Bubble. They are, the commercials are on our website, and it just gives me great delight to see them, because what we're doing is going to live our responsibility for the next 50 years. You got us to where we are today, and my job is to ensure that we do all the right things so that we can celebrate Mr. Bubble's 100th birthday. So this is a wonderful event. We are doing granular marketing to communicate with moms, the purchaser, so that their kids, the user, enjoys Mr. Bubble. We want to have Mr. Bubble be used outside of the bathtub. Not just a bubble bath, but also at the sink, and you'll see some of the product offerings we have over on the table. Liquid hand soap for the sink. And when those kids graduate from the bathtub, we want them in the shower using Mr. Bubble. So we've introduced Mr. Bubble Body Wash. This summer, Mr. Bubble's 50th birthday party was celebrated at the Water Park of America near the Mall of America. And we tried to make an impact, and I think we accomplished that. We weren't allowed to put Mr. Bubble in the actual water of the water park. We decided that we might lose a few kids along the way. So what we did was we created an area in the mezzanine, and we said, we're going to have the world's largest bubble bath, and we have machines that created a lot of foam. We had kids joining in at that reception and having a ball. We've got some of the clips are on our website. We've taken a next step, and this next step is one of the most interesting from my perspective. At the State Fair in Minnesota, we were asked, we've got a booth, we have some space available. Would you like to bring Mr. Bubble to the State Fair? Are you kidding? We're in. But we could only do it for 3 days. So we recreated our bathtub. We handed out Mr. Bubble tattoos. They're real, but they last for 3 or 4 days. And we had kids lining up to get into the area to walk through the bubble up to their waist, and they were having a ball. And we got so much positive reinforcement. And this is what Mr. Bubble's all about. Imagine when you had your kids getting ready for the bath, and close your eyes, and what did you hear? Water splashing, kids laughing, having fun. And that's what happened at the State Fair. Kids were having fun. And that's what Mr. Bubble's all about. It's not just a bubble bath. It's about having fun, getting clean. You know, remember those days you'd get the kids all dried off and it was time for a story and you had to keep your eyes open and get through that story, because I know I was always falling asleep. Mr. Bubble's about connecting with kids, and it's wholesome and it's good. And we're going to keep doing that. We have that heritage, we have a responsibility, and the Village Company's not going to let you down, our family members. So, Governor, thank you for the proclamation. I'm honored to be here. I'm glad Mr. Bubble's over there. Please get your picture taken with Mr. Bubble. He is a beautiful guy. And thank you for coming out today. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Frank, thank you very much. And I must confess, I have not been part of the cult following of Mr. Bubble in the past, but from this day on, I assure you I will be one of the cult followers. Next, I'd like to introduce a man who needs no introduction, and I'm going to give his titles to you in order of increasing importance. Former Governor of the state of North Dakota, former Secretary of Agriculture of the United States, and former President of the Gold Seal Company, Ed Schaefer.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm being introduced as the former a lot these days. I'm kind of the former everything. but I do appreciate the chance to be with you. I'm actually not, I'm the former governor and the former secretary. And not too long ago, I was introduced as the former Ed Schaefer. I'm not sure what that was all about. But it's kind of better than how Shyla insists on introducing me, which is the late Ed Schaefer. But anyway, thank you, Governor. It's really a thrill for me to be here today. It feels kind of nice standing behind the governor's podium again, But really, this is a capital, the place where I was honored to serve the great people of North Dakota. And I'm here today to represent the Schaefer family for this 50th birthday party celebration for the personal cleaning product brand, Mr. Bubble. It really is a pleasure to see all of you here that came. Welcome to family and friends and old colleagues at Gold Seal Company, neighbors, colleagues here at the Capitol, legislators. Thank you all for joining us today. It really is a great day in America, and it's a fun day in North Dakota. All those years ago, Mr. Bubble was born and bred here in North Dakota. And as he grew, as we heard, he became the #1 selling bubble bath in the United States and beyond, becoming the largest selling bath product in the world. In honor of this America's icon today, I thought maybe we could step back and take a few snapshots in time that molded and shaped this brand into North Dakota's favorite son. Mr. Bubble's pedigree started long before the brand was even imagined. Probably in 1947, after a few months in Chicago. You see, Harold Schaefer started Gold Seal Company here in Bismarck in 1942. And over the next several years, grew the company to be a successful regional presence with his products. And when it came time to distribute Gold Seal Company products nationally, everyone, the bankers, the salespeople, the suppliers, the advertising agency, everybody said, you have to be in a big city. You can't be in Bismarck, North Dakota. So Gold Seal products started carrying a Chicago address. After a few months, just a few months, my dad said, I'm a North Dakotan. I love this state. This is where I'm going to be. And that North Dakota address was reaffirmed and fully imprinted on the boxes and bottles and containers of Gold Seal Company products. So he grew an international marketing business from right here in North Dakota, eventually selling products in 133 different countries. We've got some really interesting historical advertising material with very interesting languages with Mr. Bubble on it. But It was, it was a fun product to work with, to sell, to be involved with, to market. And to look at Mr. Bubble, we also have to take a peek at Harold Schaefer's family and how we all grew up. In our early years, my parents and their 5 children lived at 1021 8th Street. That house is still there. It's just a few blocks south of here, right down the street. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house with a little make-do living quarters where my 3 older sisters laid their heads. Now, can you imagine, as a small boy, living with 4 sisters in a house with 1 bathroom? But anyway, we'll leave that story for another time. But somewhere along the line, Harold Schaefer from western North Dakota, with scarce water resources out there, living through the Dust Bowl of the dirty 30s and living a rather singular life as a traveling salesman, became infatuated with bubble baths. How did that happen? Who knows? But he was gone a lot, traveled a lot, and when he came home, it was bath time. He always had a small packet of powder to drop into the water that he purchased in a department store or high-end drugstore somewhere along the line. He brought a lot of fun and joy into our home with this concept of fun in the tub for his children. And it might have been the seeds that were planted for a product right there whose slogan would become, makes getting clean almost as much fun as getting dirty. Around 1960, he began talking to some of the raw material suppliers of Gold Seal Company to see if they could manufacture a less expensive bubble bath that could be sold in grocery stores along with other Gold Seal Company products. You see, he wanted to market an affordable bubble bath product for kids so that they could enjoy bath time just as his children did many years before that in our home. 50 years ago, in 1961, Mr. Bubble made his debut in the marketplace, only soon to see failure. Yep, Mr. Bubble bombed. It tanked. It was a flop. It didn't do well enough to even keep on the shelves. It was slated to be pulled from the grasp of what would become millions of little kids that had a chance to grow up with this product. In classical marketing terms, the price point of the product at 59 cents was wrong, and it didn't fit into the household grocery budgets of the time. The product in the test markets was pulled from the shelves. It was shipped to Virginia, where a deal was made with a large grocery chain to kind of, price point, lower the price of the product, stack it up on the end caps, get it sold, get it out of there. And as the product was shipped into the stores, it seemed like it was traveling out at the same rate. Just as fast, the product was being sold in that sweet spot of the right product and the right name and the right box and the right price was met. It all came together. And that's how Harold Schaefer had a product that would now make gushers out of the sales records that were there before. But he couldn't afford to sell it. It was losing money on every little bubble that went pop, pop, pop. Now, Shiloh mentioned this morning that Harold Schaefer liked to give away things, and he certainly did. Shiloh says he probably would have given away Mr. Bubble if he could have, but he couldn't. There's only so much you can do out there. To the rescue came a supplier that could and did figure out a way to make a high-quality product that could continue to be retailed at 39 cents. And the rest is history. Mr. Bubble became a member, Frank, of the Gold Seal family, as you mentioned. And it really is a thrill to have other members of the Gold Seal family here with us today. Thank you for joining us. And it really is all of you that are a part of this celebration that made this brand what it is today. Mr. Bubble's been good for our state. Jobs created, payrolls dominating through the communities, lots of happiness spreading out in all directions from right here in Bismarck, North Dakota. Millions of people looked at that box and said, "Hey, Mr. Bubbles from North Dakota." How cool is that? And we're going to hear from Randy about how Mr. Bubble impacted North Dakota with the profits going to generate another one of Harold Schaefer's dreams, Medora, North Dakota. One of the things that earned him a slot in the Rough Rider Hall of Fame. The picture of my dad from the gallery in the Great Hall downstairs is over here on an easel. It's displayed for us here today in remembrance of his entry into the North Dakota Hall of Fame in the Rough Rider Gallery. Displayed too on that painting, front and center, is Mr. Bubble and Medora and the Badlands. And that's really what Harold Schaefer was all about. When Governor Guy established the award as the highest recognition for North Dakotans, he named it in honor of the 26th President of the United States, another favorite son, Theodore Roosevelt. And thinking about Governor Dalrymple's proclamation for Mr. Bubble Day and all that is surrounding us here in the Memorial Hall, I can't help but think of the intersection between T.R. and Harold Schaefer's lives. Both loved North Dakota. Both lived out their dreams. Both were committed to their families and helping other people make their lives better. Both enjoyed the joy of laughter and fun and happiness. One lived the life of bully pleasure. The other brought pleasure to life for millions of children. And a quote from President Roosevelt probably says it best. "Ours was the glory of work and the joy of living." That's what a chubby little character on a pink box brought to North Dakota. Let us all celebrate. Have a great Mr. Bubbly Day.
Ed, thanks a lot for the comments. It's fun to reminisce. I've always thought that was one of the best portraits by far that I've ever seen in this building, and it's a great tribute. I thought in the old stories you might, tell about how Harold made you actually fill the original boxes by hand or the original cans of glass wax by hand, but we'll get to that some other time. We have finally with us Randy Hotzenbuehler, president of the Theodore Roosevelt Medora Foundation. Randy?
Thank you, Governor. It's a real honor to be here. And I want to start by just saying congratulations, Mr. Bubble. I'm glad you turned 50 this year. I'm even more grateful that you were born. Without you, it's hard to imagine that Medora, North Dakota would have developed into one of the premier upper Midwest family destinations. And that's because the man who imagined you and dreamed big enough to see you become the best-selling bubble bath in the world also had that incredible love for North Dakota and especially for Medora. And we're obviously talking about Harold Schaefer. I was invited to comment about the impact Mr. Bubble had on Medora. I think there are parallels between Mr. Bubble and Medora. Harold Schaefer was so identified with the products that he sold that they sometimes took on his persona. And in some ways, he took on the persona of his products. Some people will tell you he was Mr. Bubble. Others knew him as Waxy. And many today will say he was and always will be Mr. Medora. I've been in Medora for 23 years, and for as long as I've been there, we've believed that if the visitor can say, Medora is the cleanest, the friendliest, the safest place a visitor can encounter, it will be good family fun for everyone. and it'll end up being okay. To me, it's interesting to reflect all the comments today. How Harold's vision was so similar for completely different products. Did you hear the words everybody used? Mr. Bubble, Medora. It didn't matter. There are common themes: clean, friendly, safe, fun. The reality is that Medora's beauty and history was known to far less people before Harold Schaefer felt that it was too valuable to neglect. Millions of people now appreciate Medora and the Badlands because they've experienced them. They were invited. Something was created to make them want to come there. And they know the tremendous impact that this state, this area, had on Theodore Roosevelt's life. I suspect that Harold's passion for Medora was there most of his life. We are really fortunate that his passion also came along with an incredible, generous spirit. But passion and a philanthropic bent won't work unless there's a source to fuel both. Thank you, Mr. Bubble. In the early 1960s, the period of time when Mr. Bubble was becoming a household name and when Harold was beginning to restore Medora, he wrote, quote, "If some of the profits earned from the sale of my products can help preserve Medora's treasures and provide education and enjoyment for my fellow citizens, then I shall feel that I have made a small measure of payment for the opportunities this country has held for me." Most of you who knew Harold could just hear him saying that. You know, out in Medora, if you come into the Harold Schaefer Heritage Center, there's a desk. Many of you know that there was a box that sat on Harold's desk, and it said, "The Secret of Success." And you opened the box up, and there was one word. It was work. You know, I got to spend a lot of hours with Harold, one-on-one. And I kind of asked him that question in a different way. I asked him, "What's the secret, Harold?" And he told me something a little bit different. He said, "Randy, if I had any gift or any talent at all, I think it was somewhere along the line. I realized that the English language was the most powerful tool in the world. And I'll remember it forever because he talked with his hands and he said, if I could take the right words and put them together, it would work." How interesting that he took Mr. and Bubble and put them together. And Mr. Bubble's now 50. There was genius in creating a name and a product that is forever young. On February 1st, we will commemorate the 100th birthday of Harold Schaefer. There's something even more valuable than genius when someone's impact lives on long after they are gone. It's called legacy. How lucky we are that Harold Schaefer's legacy connected Mr. Bubble and Medora.
It's addressed, "Dear Ed, it is a pleasure to join you in celebrating the 50th anniversary of Mr. Bubble. The product itself is synonymous with its creator, the man, Harold Schaefer, and the state of North Dakota. 50 years later, it is still the #1 brand of bubble bath in America. Though now owned by the Village Company of Minnesota, Mr. Bubble is as popular as ever. Harold Schaefer was a big man, larger than life. Not only was he big in stature, he dreamt big, and he had an even bigger heart. And when you were around him, his energy and enthusiasm were contagious. North Dakotans were very proud of Harold Schaefer, Mr. Bubble, and Gold Seal Company, and still are on this 50th anniversary. It's a special tribute to Harold and Shyla and their family, Harold Dean and Joanne, Diane, Pam, Ed, Mark, Michelle, Maureen, for their contributions to the proud reputation of North Dakota, and particularly to his beloved Medora. Please convey my warm regards to all those gathered with special wishes for many more years of success for America's #1 bubble bath. Congratulations, Mr. Bubble. With warm personal regards, sincerely, Kent Conrad, United States Senator.